I'm gonna try this one more time. And if it doesn't work, I'm just gonna say screw it. I was trying really hard to stream earlier. And this person came in the room with a friend of theirs, moved all this stuff around, and this was after the chat just went out. And I was so angry, so disappointed. People were let down. They left in tears. They were saddened. I saw a lot of slit wrist. Yeah, I really didn't intend for it to go the way it did, but if anyone still wants to do it, I'm at least up to attempting. Again, that depends on anyone comes in here. It just sucks, man, because it's like every Saturday, it'll just be a normal, uneventful day. And then people randomly show up at 6. They'll magically appear. Remember, I was doing this one stream, and this person who I think came earlier in the day showed up a second time. And I was really confused because I'd already seen them, but they ruined it. I was about maybe 5-6 minutes into it. And it's always something that I would argue out of my control that causes them to act this way. Because that person that came in earlier didn't show up. No idea they were going to, just ask me to assist them with something. So I had no clue. It's the same thing with the person that interrupted the one a few weeks ago. The one that was only 6 minutes long. Right? I said, live show canceled. They came out of nowhere, surprised me, and they stayed for about an hour, 2 hours. By the time they left, I just said, screw it. I usually try not to eat on camera, but oh well. This is streaming after hours. This is when I'm just at a point of whatever. And then in the previous live show, I think about maybe 7 or 8 minutes in, that's when the comments all of a sudden just went out, and I was sitting there so confused because I couldn't fathom how all the other streams, even the one I did with the crappy Wi-Fi, let me, interact with people. They let me see what they're writing, and then all of a sudden it just went off. But that's again something that is out of my control. I can make myself show up, but I can't. Like all this stuff around me, it's people direct it. Oftentimes, I don't want to say fall victim to what they do, but I'm affected by it. That's actually what I was going to discuss, which is I believe it's called the just world fallacy. It's this idea that all of us are bestowed a fate that we deserve. So, for example, when you see people who will come on, like the romance stuff, right? And they'll say, you are without someone because you're ugly. In their just world fallacy, they believe that a man that they deem to be ugly, or at least as ugly as I am in their head, should not be allowed to get with one long-term partner. Now, of course, if you're an objective person, you would say, well, gee, if this person approached 90, 100, whatever number of chicks, and got the same result over and over again, even with ones who claim they were interested that flip-flopped on him, maybe there's factors outside of just him. Because if he's making himself available to this large swath of people, and they all are apparently different and come with their own individual pros and cons, maybe their cons just outweigh the pros each time, and they've set it up to where They just won't do anything with them. But see, that's what an objective person would say. If you believe in the just world fallacy, you go, "Oh no, that man couldn't get with anyone because uh, he didn't give enough effort." Which is why you have people who, to this day, will write crap in my my chat about uh, go talk to five chicks at the mall every day. It's like, dude, people have lives. No one can, unless you are. I don't know, only work like 2 hours a day, or just people have other stuff they have to do. They can't realistically sit up there and go to these shopping centers every single day. Hell, a lot of times, even most days out of the week. At Winterfresh, I was the previous stream got just it was totally derailed. First, we had the chat die, and I attended the funeral, wore my little black coat. Uh, then we had the person come in here to move the stuff around. That's why we had it never. What was it? It can only get worse. That stream, if you remember that one, you might have seen it. Not seen it, but viewed it in my catalog. It was funny because on the sequel to that, someone actually left a comment. They were like, "I'm unsubbing right now," and it was and like they were talking about how upset they were because I was discussing or I was using this hair care product I had with the translucent bottle, and someone throwing it out to like talk about how people are just so absent-minded that they'll literally throw away something thinking it's no good despite seeing that it's filled with the thing inside of it. But it was funny because like the person, they made their decision to leave me alone sound like it was this big grandiose departure of a longtime viewer of mine. I only ever saw them comment one time before that months ago. Like I literally didn't even know who they were when I saw their comment. Because they're just not a lot of these people they show up every once in a while, once in a blue moon. If you own a business, you might have at times since it's more flexible from what I hear. Yeah, but the point is people have varying circumstances is kind of what I'm getting at. That sure, there are some people who can do that every day, but there are other people who can't. So because they can't do that with any recurrence, they are where they are because they didn't give enough effort. Or if you look at the job market, you can have a person who applies to 60 or 70 different places and is unemployed, and someone who's not acquainted with that person's attempts to get employment will say, "Oh, well, he's unemployed because he's lazy." Because in their just world fallacy, they have to say things like that to make it make sense over the fact that this person kept applying and applying and didn't get the result they wanted. It's the same thing with the YouTube stuff. I used to complain about having a lack of subs, and if I spoke to this about other people on the site, this one guy was like, "Well, maybe the topics aren't that interesting." It's like, dude, TYT talks about the same stuff and uploads, I think eight videos a day, seven videos a day, some number that's almost double digits, and they're at 4 million. So like again, just world fallacy. Oh, if you just talked about other stuff, all these people would magically show up. It's like, yeah, but when you have people who talk about the same thing getting 10, 20, 30 times the number of views, it's not the topic. I mean, they just, yeah, they don't want to say, yeah, maybe it's not the person who's making the content, because the person who's making the content is very prolific. They're very dedicated to what they do. Maybe we should direct our blame to other factors. Sometimes people don't want to watch stuff. Sometimes they sub and don't, just there's a lot of things that go into the metrics of various channels across here. But they'd rather believe, something like that because it's a lot easier to stomach. Oh, that person just isn't talking about things people find interesting. Yeah. I swear it's usually the quality of video and the equipment used to make the video. Yeah. Well, I'm not about to buy some HD mic to get 10 views. I'd rather not. I remember I actually did believe it was the effort that someone put into it, and I remember the episodes of the show would get just barely less views than like stuff with me sitting in my chair talking about some romantic crap. So I don't buy that either. Oh man, people they always have an excuse for something. Yeah, that's my point. I said it. This is not how to explain this. Um, I was trying to tell this person, you can't expect someone who has no reason to believe there is a business prospect on this website to go out and treat it like it's a business. Because when you get employed, you go and buy the particular clothes they want you to wear, the shoes, the equipment in some cases. So, you get all that stuff because the place is telling you you need these things in order to work. It's a sure thing that you're going to be employed by this place while using these particular items. When you get on YouTube and you're doing a video, hey guys, I hope you liked my editing that took 5 hours to do, and then you wake up the next day, 40 views, man. It's a totally different ball game. They're asking you to treat a website that doesn't even pay half a penny a video like it's a real job, and it's not. No, nowhere close. Not one bit. I appreciate that, King. I've attempted to keep things authentic. I had a person who on the stream I did, I think it was 2 Saturdays ago, wrote something along the lines of, and I guess what's so bothersome is I try to explain things to where I sometimes will over explain them. Uh, this person comes in here as I'm laying out, not even PewDiePie. I told you that he gets less than 10 million views a video while having almost 100 million subscribers. So that means, what is it, like under a tenth or barely a tenth of his subs even watch his stuff? How do you have millions of just dead subs? Whatever. Um, but going back to what I was saying, I think I might have actually lost my train. Oh no, no, no! From the video from 2 weeks ago, the stream rather, there was a person who came in the chat and they said, "This sounds like defeatism," because I was saying that while a person can apply for a job, the people who are the employers have to select that person for the person to be hired. While a man can go out and talk to 1,000 chicks, one of them has to consent to dating that person for them to get dated. Um, and this isn't necessarily someone saying, "Oh, well, it's all predetermined before I go out." No, it's simply saying that there's a factor of more than just that one person. You're affected by the people around you and the decisions they make. So why sit here and be depressed because someone else made a stupid decision that affected you? But nonetheless, if you go out and you tell some chick, "Hey, I'm going to accept you for who you are," and then she sticks a middle finger in your face, you were the one who was willing to compromise, and she was the one who decided nothing would happen. So why feel bad about that? And this guy was like, that sounds like defeatism. Like, it's defeatism to go out and talk to dozens of chicks and apply to dozens of retailers. And what was the other one? There was some other thing, like put up with all the little different stuff with people online and what. Like, really? I know, Marco. I'm very aware. There's the making the content that's quote unquote relevant, which politics to the average YouTube viewer is not on their radar. Yeah, but again, people were trying to insist to me that if you just stop discussing this, you'll magically grow. And I'm like, I'm only seeing maybe 2 times at max. Like, the romance stuff can barely crack maybe 100. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to now abandon what I'm actually interested in talking about. So some people will show up every now and again, more often. And they don't even share it. They just sit there and watch it and then disappear for the remainder of the year. People understand there's the person who puts forth the effort to put themselves out there, and it's up to the second party to accept you. I said the same thing about these comics and mangas. Like, the comic writers and the artists can draw the most beautiful, well-crafted stories in the world, but if people don't buy them, you know, they're failures because they tried. That's why we actually have a thing on TV tropes called an acclaimed flop, where there's a work that commercially doesn't do well, so doesn't sell well, but it's when people actually sat down and read or watched it, they go, "Oh my god, this was so great!" Woo! Yeah, people always look for someone to blame. And fortunately, if you are a content creator on here, you get blamed for people not watching stuff because I guess I'm supposed to kidnap every person on the site and bring them to my house and make them watch a video. If you go and you could have trouble with chicks, you get accused of what do you call it, being the reason why they wouldn't get with you. Because I'm supposed to use telepathy to control their mind and make them go on a date. That's why I said it's the just world fallacy. And I mentioned before, I don't know why people can't just accept that some of us have bad luck with certain things, regardless of how much we try. Now, it doesn't mean you stop trying, but it does mean that when it doesn't work out, you don't just go, "Oh man, I suck so much. I'm a horrible person. I'm gonna go jump out, curl up in the ball, and commit suicide." Because that doesn't accomplish anything other than making you feel worse than what the given circumstances already led itself to. The algorithm is so weird. I did a knife video on the Ontario 498 and did pretty well on my Hook My One, but my other videos don't do well. Yeah, I don't understand. I'm not even going to bother with the algorithm. I just know they're slanted toward actual news sources. So I've actually typed my name in with a news story and I'll get CNN or somebody else. I'm like, what the hell? I don't remember doing an interview with them. Yeah, Sky. The other one was it glitched out, and then this other person came in here and they ruined it, and I was so sad. Sky is also the same person who said I was ghetto and ignorant, and couldn't form complete sentences, and he was correct, but that still hurt my feelings. I wept for months. Okay, right. You can't force people to like you. People will give you for not trying hard enough, but don't know the work you did behind the scenes. Well, that's why when I did the proof romance is a scam video, I purposely showed the screenshots of all the different exchanges I had with broads just over and over again, because it seems like a lot of these people, even if you give them proof, still don't want to buy the idea that you can have a man that does what could be considered everything right, and the broad just won't, bother with it. I don't know. I think I'm very easy to please, but because usually if something bothers me severely and it's not I don't think I'm dealing with some ridiculous, non-malleable person. I'll just say, hey, I prefer you not do this, whatever. And if they have a problem with that, I just say go away. Because if the one or two things I want you to not do are so horrible and horrendous, then we don't need to speak. Mm. I told you the chick stuff is like a nightmare where you sit over here and you bend. It's like being at the carnival and you're on a unicycle and the broad is like the director and she's like, jump over this. Remember the thing where they have the little rope that the person on the tricycle will ride on? And she's like, go on the rope with your tricycle. And then you try to cross over and you fall. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. I think many people are difficult for no reason. I have pointless arguments with previous girlfriends. No, they were mad at you because you wouldn't get a profile picture on YouTube, and they were right. I agree with them. I stand with Sky/Brian 1890457's girlfriends on that point. That'd be funny if we have like a petition, make Sky get an avatar, or we stand outside your house with picket and protest signs. We have like a little mini march on Washington. Like we demand that avatar be put on him, and he preferably get an image of some historical figure. Oh, don't mention that name. I was trying to do a documentary on him, and then C-SPAN screwed me up. And it sucks too because I really had to sit there and research for that. I went and watched, I think about two or three different C-SPAN interviews with him because in the interviews he talks about his whole career and whatnot. I had to sit through a bunch of different videos. It was just like I hate them so much for having a website like that. But I have a way to record it, so we'll see if I can wrap it up at some point. in the near future. Who knows? It's the clone number. I actually have a CK. If you only knew what clones I mentioned in an upload I have planned for this week. It's a nice little coincidence there. Oh, yeah. I don't even bother trying to appease these people because it's just like they set things up to like I'll give you an example with the I think I mentioned the one chick that was a religion that I'm not. She was like, we're of different religions and I can't marry someone that's of a different religion. So now I've mentioned maybe I can convert to yours. Oh, I wouldn't want you to do that. Well, how am I supposed to get? Oh, well, I guess we just can't get together. So, yeah, but you just said that you thought I was attracted. Oh, I do, but this. So yeah, stupidity. Uh, I mean, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you convert to a religion, she won't get married. If you don't convert to a religion, yeah. Like to answer your question, yes, CK. But you get my point that I offer that as just as an example to prove how these people set you up in scenarios that you can't win on purpose because they know they're pricks. Yeah. I mean, again, she's just another person who can't make up their mind. Like you comment on someone's stuff, talking about how attractive they are, and then when you start speaking to them, oh, I can't believe it. So, to answer Sky's question, I might actually have my own little. I don't. It's just gonna be me going to someone's house and the same usual thing I hate about every holiday. Hello, person I haven't seen all year and hasn't called me all year. How are you? I missed you so much. Let's talk about things that I'm going to pretend for the next 10 minutes to be interested in, even though I could have shown my interest by, I don't know, contacting you throughout the entire year. I had a similar issue. I was broken off for being non-Muslim. If there was Chris, she'd be agreeable. I don't know. She wasn't. I'm not going to go that far. I do think that if it was some dude that she thought was drop dead gorgeous or whatever, she probably would have relented a little bit because she sounded as if she was relenting before that, where she was saying how they can't show their hair to anyone who's not part of their family. And I had mentioned this, and she was like, "Oh, I'll think of something." And it kind of all the red herring in the world, man. You think you're making progress with these people, and then they put you right back where you started. Let's see. I had a woman block me on Messenger for suggesting her grandfather, who had cancer, I think, go on a vegan diet or to take herbs, one of the two, and I just wanted to help. Winter Fresh, how dare you say something so insensitive? That's an instant ban on here. Goodbye. Now he's actually going to think I got rid of him. He's going to be like, no. There are rules for average looking guys like us and rules for pretty boys / rich boys. But that's the thing. Like when I mentioned the chick that had the kid, that guy isn't pretty, and he damn sure isn't rich. So, like, I guess what I'm saying is, if I can see some man and not think and I get, damn, it's so frustrating because oftentimes my position is, in my view, validated by the fact that I'll show this person's picture to chicks that the person's not involved with, and they'll say they're not interested. No, Scott, it was two poor people deciding that I guess a condom was too expensive, or Luffy wasn't available. They couldn't pull him all out of the Grand Line or the New World to get in between them. I'm gonna be king of the pirates. I'm gonna stop this pregnancy. Gamu gamu. He stretches over. Yeah, they decided that cost too much, so it would be more financially negotiable to have children. You can't afford it. No, but that's my thing. It's expensive to get a condom or birth control, but it's not expensive to have a kid you can't afford. that you have to take care of, at least if you're a parent that actually cares about it for 18 years, if not longer. Hell, in some cases, up to 25. Second to me. I was being sarcastic, LOL. It's ridiculous. Yeah, and I told you that the same group of people who said no, that's the Sky. That is the one thing. Look, I'm not this person's fan. I think they're a complete scumbag. But they are. That's the one thing they are not. They are not single. That is the soul saving grace that differentiates them from the rest of the clowns who want to tell you about the greatness of the independence of women, and then when you have some guy that says let's get married, they basically tell you to take a hike. That's her only thing she did right. The one thing. Everything else was screwed. In the sense that they're well, yeah, but I mean, Sky, to be fair, they've been together for years. That's why I was so frustrated. I was like, how the hell does some clown who isn't smart, isn't funny, is average looking, if we're being nice, able to damn chicks have such an advantage, it's not even funny. Whatever. Gotta jump through all these hoops. I almost wish I could give you a visual demonstration of these calls. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but it is very common for chicks I speak to on the phone to laugh multiple times. And it was really amusing because I was thinking like to even get to speak to these broads for any prolonged amount of time, you damn near have to be a professional comedian. You have to be able to like make up all these like it got so bad that the last chick I spoke to said like recommended that as a career choice for me. It's like I'm not doing this because I actually want to have some professional career in that crap. I'm doing it because I know you bastards get bored every 2 seconds, so I have to constantly entertain you and juck and jive and tap dance for these clowns. Oh my god! Stop thinking about it. It's impossible to rationalize certain things, and love slash dating is one of them. It is possible to rationalize it. Just say the people who are in charge of it, which is the chicks, are a bunch of, for the most part, indecisive people who don't know what they want, and we have to suffer the consequence. They're doing what they think is right, and in the end, we all share the price. Oh, wait, I got it wrong. They're doing what they think is right, and in the end, we all pay the price. It's outrageous. Your main role is to be a jester slash entertain. No, there was actually a chick that got upset with me and said that all I am is entertainment. And it was funny just how accurate that was. So these people don't care about you. They just want to have a little dude on the phone to make them laugh when they're, I guess, bored, and then they go right back to talking to whoever they're serious about. All a woman has to do is say yes to get into a relationship. Well, I said the same thing with like that's literally what happened with the chick that has a kid. She said the guy went up and said, "Hey, oh, I like you. Okay, we can go on a date, yay!" And then that's how we got the saga that we did. No 6 month. Let me send her a short text right now. Let me meet her at the mall. Let me wear this trash I never even like to wear. None of that. Damn, man. They want you to introduce yourself with some funny one-liner like you're Cat Williams or Kevin Hart. Yeah, you have to like they really want you to transform into these. I have to turn into like the protege of Dave Chappelle or something. I love traveling. What else is that? That's what I just said. When the fresh, you didn't hear me? Oh, my stream's going out again. I got to go and restart it for the umpteenth time. I wasn't even supposed to be doing this one because told you usually when it gets like a little bit later, I just said, man, I'm so tired. Let me just lay down, especially without the chair. That's the worst one. But as soon as this is over, I'm gonna go sit down anyway. So it don't matter. Let's see. We call those women wishy-washy, and people should avoid wishy-washy individuals. Yeah, I don't understand like why they're even remotely in charge of getting to pick partners. But oh, I do understand because of banana. It really isn't worth it. In our generation are vastly different from women decades ago. I was thinking it just before you. Oh, oops. No, I was just so mad over this stuff they did this week because I had three different documentaries I had planned out. I wrote out most of two of them, and before I can even record anything, they destroy my whole setup. They ruined it. They sodomized my plans in a dark alley. I mean, we were gonna talk about the labor leader in the UK and the Senate Majority Leader, and they took my whole plan, just ripped it to pieces. I think it was a mistake to put some value in just looking good. If all they have to do was be pretty and standard, what's the point of building a character? Roman, I don't know who you're talking to, but that's the complete reverse of me. I've met plenty of chicks who I didn't think were, yeah, CK, that's what I'm talking about. Who I like, CK, I literally had a script that, like, with the clips, that would have probably been 2 or 3 hours, just his whole career. Um, but yeah, Roman, I have a whole bunch of chicks I didn't think were the most attractive in the world, but I didn't care, you know? If I enjoyed speaking to the person, it didn't matter. That's why I mentioned that I was one time attracted to this blind chick because she was nice and we got along and had some common interests. I didn't. It didn't really matter. Of course, she did the same little backflip. Oh, I would go on a date with you 2 weeks later. I'd rather not. The hell is wrong with these people? Talking about, can we still be friends? Yeah, sure. It's even worse if you're plagued by this. Oh, that's what I was saying. There was actually a person who came to my page last year and asked me something along the lines of, "Do you have such and such mental illness like me? Because if you do, there is no chance you'll ever get what's." I said, it's sad that I can be this person who can get called smart over and over again. And this isn't to toot my own horn, but I said, like, all these different attacks on my sanity, on my like, it's all having to stem from chicks. Like, if that one thing wasn't there, I would be considered a normal person. But because, some broads didn't say yes, I have to sit here and, get accused of having some secret disease and or illness or whatever, so people can have their, because see, that's another example of the just world fallacy. Oh, you have this mental illness, which I don't, obviously. So you can't get with anyone. It only makes sense because I'm having the same issue. Yeah, in the whole, like, you really believe all these chicks are stable? Seriously, you actually think that? Does anyone in the world believe it? Like, no, man, come on, give me a break. Better be nice or no chance at all. If you're rich, you're this. Yeah, but if I was rich, why would I want any of these little urchins running around? Like, rich people date rich people. Like, even when rich guys get with these moderate income or poor chicks, they treat them like the little side broads they are. They throw them to the curb. Yeah, Marco, I was pointing out. Did you hear that? Did you not hear what I said? I don't know if you were here for that or not. I was saying there was a user who came on my stuff last year and wrote out some, like, You would use them for sex and leave them. You wouldn't. Yeah, I admit that. If I had more than what I have now, why would I want someone who doesn't even have a tenth of that? Just as a hypothetical. Um, it's really the check. Well, that's why, like, I'm so perplexed by the thing with this chick where I kept saying it's literally because I've never seen her with someone else. So I think what it was the guy was the first person to seriously express interest in her, and it stuck. Um, he's not wealthy at all, far from even being moderately of income, and I don't think he's like every chick I've spoken to says that's an average to ugly looking person, but still was able to get with someone. And again, that's not to say you don't deserve it because me and the next 50 people, it doesn't matter. I'm just pointing out that when I see someone who is like that get with someone, I don't buy all this self-improvement trash. Mm. Let's see here. Uh, look up. Sadly, they were his downfall. Yeah, I'll look into that. I'm not saying that in like a joking matter. I actually will look into that. I was just so disappointed this week. They screwed stuff up so much. Oh, there's that guy that Boa deleted the comment of. Oh, she got him. Yeah, it was like 2 days ago where you came and you were like, I don't care about those soldiers coming back from Afghanistan. I want to discuss impeachment. And she saw it and got rid of it. I went to my things like removed by moderator. I was like, what? Like I know Ruben doesn't do that. I know Envoy disappears, so there's only one likely suspect. Man, why would I be excited to discuss a movie I already know the ending to? Like, we already know the Senate is full of a bunch of partisan people, like the House is, except in the opposite direction. So they're going to vote to acquit Trump, and this whole 4-month saga will be a complete waste of time. That'll only serve to boost his approval rating ahead of the general election campaign. Just another example to not marry or put women first in your life. Too many men suffer and continue to suffer because of them. Yeah, but we're talking about a guy suffering that isn't even like do you understand how insane this is? If you get with one of them, you have all that stuff possibly happen, right? If you don't get with one of them, you get accused of being homosexual. In one case, of having a mental illness. Like you can't win. These people literally are going to be your downfall. Hell, one of them could come out in 20 years. Justin touched me. You have any proof? Oh, I don't need any. I mean, I said before, Human, that I was really sick of the impeachment stuff because, like, actually, I said final word on the impeachment inquiry, and I was serious. That I didn't talk about it by itself until the actual vote. It was just months and months of hearings. None of it. I didn't cover it because I didn't care. I have a life. I'm not going to sit there and watch a 8-9 hour hearing of some random person sitting in front of a bunch of Congress members who aren't going to be remembered in 5 years. So I mentioned her thing because the critiques were just so ridiculous. Cenk going, I don't understand how you could consider the impeachment to be a partisan matter. It's only Democrats voting to get rid of him. How partisan is that? Like, do you not remember the definition of that word? Oh my God. And they have millions of subs that just were, yeah, doing a little parrot thing. If you're famous or well known, a woman will meet too. Oh, of course. That's why I largely stay with. Well, one thing someone did recommend was whenever you meet with one of the ones that you don't trust, you have someone else in there with you, which I think is a good idea. There are no Me Too cases about broke men or average white collar / blue collar man. It's just rich men being told on. Yeah, they're it's all targeted, man. They pick the people out. So I said it's just a bunch of cancel culture. Oh my God, someone said something about this person doing this to them 20 years ago. Let's make sure they can never get a role again. Let's forget a court case. Let's just. But that's why that Vic thing was so annoying. You have a broad come out and say he touched me when Justin was 10. Let's go and get him or whatever. And then like he gets fired weeks later. Trial happens months and months afterward. It was such a like that whole thing should have been reversed. If he loses the trial, gets found guilty, then you fire him after that. But no court of law in public opinion court. This is why you have psychological warfare happening. Yeah, it would be good if I could keep the hyper focus for much longer, though, without getting bored of it. Always have another person with you when around a woman, especially a hot one. There was no evidence in the Vic case that he did anything. Well, that's why I never believed it. It's like, and I'm telling you, man, that was the ultimate betrayal. Like, you see Monica, for example, sit there. And just a few months prior, oh, Vic, hi. And then he violated me, but I don't want to explain it. Same thing with Edwards, one that does Fidel, where she was like, in a video from 10 years ago, yeah, we're hanging out, we're dancing. And then at the same convention, he touched me inappropriately. Give me a break. I'm so sick of this. He should have never slept with those women. He did something to piss them off big time. It was the same thing with Al Franken. Like, we can go down the list, man. I'm just tired of it. That's why I say if it ever happens to me, I don't care what position I'm in. I'm not resigning from anything. I will protest my innocence forever. You're making me feel bad because you want to come out with some bogus story. Then you hear the Funimation leaks where they're laughing about, these innocent little angels that work at this studio for cartoons want you to believe that they're not sexual deviants or doing gross stuff behind the scenes. I didn't apologize to any of them. I'm not, I'm good. They don't need my apology. Oh. Yeah, I had so much stuff lined up. I had the top 10 betrayals of this year, where it was me and like 9 other cases. So some of them were relating to me, other ones were relating to just public stuff with celebrities and all that. I had the top 10 senators of this decade, which was hard as hell to pick out because when you have over 100 of those people, you have to sift through each one's record and make a conclusion based on, you get the picture. What else am I going to do? There was, obviously the documentaries. There's a lot of stuff, man. I mean, I don't really, like every year for the last 2 or 3 years has basically been the same. You get some okay, decent stuff on YouTube, and then a bunch of random crap happens in real life, and it messes with stuff. So that's why I said that I don't usually even consider the end of the year really worth discussing. I'll try to slap up something for it, but whatever. Doesn't really matter. Oh my God, Ruben showed up. Yeah, Ruben, as you can see, I still don't have my setup, the one that I do my stuff with. So I'm actually leaning against this table. I'm gonna try to gather the clips for this documentary. I'm trying not to sound like the boy who cried wolf because it glitched out. First, it got interrupted, and I was about 20 something minutes into it, and then I played it back, and it was only 16 minutes. No, Sky, these people put wood on the floor, and I thought it was dumb, so I left, and then it's a whole little saga. But the short answer is this is the same room. It's just they messed with the ground and stuff got thrown all over the place. Yeah, how screwed up it'll be in 1 year. in 8, 9 days? Oh my God, I can't believe it. I don't see how it gets any worse than it already is. What's the worst thing a chick can do to me at this point other than say no over and over again? Start saying yes. And then when you come to the date, it's like You remember the Mario games? Sorry, your prince is in another castle. It's like, sorry, your date is at another venue, and she left some, little note. I had to attend a crappy event just like you the other day. Oh, what was the event? Envoy came back. I'm so happy. I'm about to click my heels and slap myself in the chest to show my excitement. It'd be fun if I get like a little prop, like a broomstick. I just have it wagging back like a dog. Wow, it was. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. You have my complete condolences. Some Korean whore encouraged her boyfriend to kill himself on the day of their Jesus Christ. I thought CK was asking Ruben if he was a socialist and going, ew. I mean, I already told you what Envoy said about me in that message where he said that stupid socialist didn't upload multiple streams on Saturday. I'm going to get back at him by not showing up for a month. And he wrote this to, I think Barr, the Attorney General, he told that to him. I only went to eat food. That's why everybody goes to these little dumb parties. They just eat whatever free stuff. Yeah, Sky. She actually did an event with Sanders in my home state. That I decided not to go at the last minute because I'm kind of sick of like when I went to the last Sanders rally. I was so tired. 3 or 4 straight hours of just standing. I'm good. I don't even stand that damn long during my stream. At least there I get half a penny. No, I actually did a thing where I said she was hot, and then it was like 3 people jumped on me, and I was like, that's not what we're here to talk about. The producers from Castle Cania want to make it supposedly. Oh, the producer from Castle Cania. So Castlevania. I had to make a return. Didn't get notification. I was stream messed up earlier. Yeah, it was horrible. No, you weren't sad. You were excited. Said, yeah, that socialist stream went down in smithereens. Where is it? And CK is laughing at something. I don't know what he's giggling about. Maybe he can enlighten us. He can inform us of what he finds so comedic. Nothing. I had I had this whole day some sausages, and then some spaghetti, and that was it. I had the sausages at 10, and I had the spaghetti at I think it was 4 or 5. So yeah, those are my 2 things I ate today. Everybody knows, everyone will copy that diet and it'll go down in history as the most unhealthy thing you've ever seen. Yes, Sky, I don't think any of them are ugly in the squad. I just have a problem with Presley because we have her on video speaking sacrilege. Hillary's a progressive too. And then I was telling Ruben, why didn't she endorse Sanders? And then I had this one relative who I was like, why didn't she endorse? Oh, she will. And then she endorsed Warren. It's like, called it. Knew something was up when all the other ones decided to endorse one person, but she didn't. 3 eggs with some raw goat cheese with marijuana. Well, I thought you said marijuana with marinara with some Ezekiel sprouted sugar sourdough. I got the whole thing messed. I'm sorry. Envoy, did you see her interview with Stern? Man, yeah, Sanders messed me up. Never mind the fact he did 14 events for me in 5 days. I hate that lady so much. I'm so glad I didn't vote for her. I get vindicated every year. Every time she opens her mouth, it's like I just go back to that election night and just pat myself on the back. Good job. Oh, Envoy, I didn't get to tell you there. I think you didn't see this part where somebody was in my chat, and they were saying how like if you go to a mall every day and approach five chicks, it'll improve. And if you go, the one that other chick that I talked about last Sunday, she said go to a bar, and I was laughing because I forgot to say to her that's the reason I didn't get with someone because I didn't go to a fish fry. They want you to just go everywhere. Like, you just go here, it'll change. You just go. I feel like I'm playing a romance port of an RPG. Travel to this location to find a woman. Open the door. No woman there. Travel to this location to possibly discover a female. You go down there. No woman there. Oh my god, what the hell is wrong with these people? They make everything sound so simple and it's not. Whew. Oh, nobody laughed at my joke. I just sat here and amused myself. Across the grain. All right, Bios, and I guess I'm gonna have to get rid of you. We only support Sanders here. The only one who gets to not support Sanders is Be Still Enough. I remember Be Still was like, we should do a collab together. And I first of all, I try not to collab with anybody. But secondly, why would I collab with someone who's this Sanders, who's this Gabbard, who's this Yang? Like, that's like me trying to get in a collab with Hannity or O'Reilly. And I was making this joke somewhere. I was saying, imagine like you go on my channel and it's a split screen of me and O'Reilly, and it's the dude that can't get a chick and the dude that groped chick. We teamed up. You got the undersexed life and the sexual allegation person in the same screen. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. I'm just picturing that. Yeah, let's do a collab together, even though we agree on almost nothing politically. I'm gonna ask, what's that conservative guy's name? The one that does the radio show. What's his name? Oh, Larry Elder. We're gonna do a radio show together, and I'm like, so this is why socialism. Like, socialism is horrible. Your little socialist got my show, and then we'll come back the next day. I saw a video of Yang dancing hip hop the other day. Man, it was whatever. Then don't watch it. Put some golf music over it instead. Was squirting whipped ice cream in supporter's mouth. Ruben says there are several of them. Several of what? CK, I swear it's the older guys who are the gropers. Oh my god! I love that idea now. I almost want to mail Hannity. Yeah, I named the one I was talking about, Ruben. I want to mail Hannity and O'Reilly and Beck and Levin and Shapiro different letters. Like, we should do a bipartisan stream. And I want to find a way to make, because when you do Google Hangouts, it's me on and then it's them. I want to find some way to get it to where it's split screen, like has me on one side, them on the other one. Man, that's the first thing I thought of when he kept saying, "Let's do a collab together." It was like, I don't even collab, and even if I did, why would I do it with someone who doesn't even agree with me on anything? Like, that's the equivalent of me asking the people who come in my comment section screwing with me, where they write like "Make America Great." Oh, you want to do a collab together? Oh, I hope he doesn't get mad. He probably will. Oh well. I tried to be nice, or at least I didn't. I don't see how he would think of this as an insult. I'm stating the truth. He's dissed all these people. Is Trump not impeached yet since Nancy hasn't sent the articles to the Senate yet? No, he's been impeached, Scott. The difference is you have to be removed for the impeachment to actually go through, but he has been impeached. He's the third president ever to be impeached by the House. It's always the Senate where it never works. Johnson got acquitted by one vote, and then not Nixon, who resigned before they even had a vote in the House. Clinton, squeezed out. Oh my God, what the hell? Thank you, King. I'm shocked. I don't even know what to say. You need 2/3 majority, CK 67. And I said before that the only three Republicans that might switch over, Murkowski, Collins, and Romney, still have not given any indication that they will. Looks so well. Again, this should be a temporary arrangement. I just don't see anywhere near that number of Republicans switching over. They're too cowardly, and they want to keep their seats. Yeah, Sky, you have no idea. I'm sitting over there just puzzled. Just imagine talking to Alex Jones or Roger Stone. Hey, that'd be funny. We stream with Stone, and he's in like you see the bars behind. He's actually another person I considered for a documentary. Like him and Giuliani have the same thing where they already had distinguished careers up until the last presidential election, then all of a sudden renewed interest. But I want to see what the end of his trial looks like before I actually, take any further. Because just I want the full story to be there. If you get what I'm saying. No, they will not, Sky. They will waste their time, and we will all go back to having the same president from before, except with a higher approval rating and a better chance of winning the next election. Thank you, Democrats. They're so foolish. I already told you they know what they're doing. They can't oppose them on ending the wars, so they go and find this little. Oh my God, he had a phone call with the president of Ukraine. That's really what you want to impeach him over, not this bombing of 7 countries, including a literal genocide in Yemen. All right, okay. Like I don't even agree with the economic stuff. So the 78% of Americans are paycheck to paycheck, but that's not impeachable because that's just crappy economic policy, and that's been something we've had since before in the austerity. It won't be a landslide, Marco. We're so partisan that you're maxing out at 30 states. I don't care who you are. Some states just will not flip. I remember when they had the election night coverage, and they reported. I'm just coming on Ruben, but they reported Texas for Trump, and Cenk was like, "So all that stuff about it's turning purple, BS, gone." I can almost picture him like holding a little miniature copy of the state and it being blue or purple or whatever as he thinks it's going to go for Clinton or possibly might. And then it just turns red. And that's when he says that. People were saying other presidents could have been impeached under the law. Yeah, that's why I keep trying to expose Pelosi as a phony because she should have done this to the younger Bush, but she couldn't, or rather she wouldn't because she would implicate herself. There's a reason why the number of presidents that have been impeached is kind of identical or similar to the number of members of the Congress that have been removed from, because they protect each other. They're in on the same games. No establishment Democrats any chance of beating Trump. Like I said, I'm gonna have to disagree. I think any one of them, if they campaign worth a damn and embrace progressives and stop trying to do like this appeal to everybody trash, and actually talk about the problems of his record. Always says, give me a candidate who is strict on foreign policy and doesn't want to engage in these banana wars, wants to improve the housing issue and take care of the veterans. I'll be impressed. I would say Sanders and Gabbard, but people they pick their own choices. People say the bar is set low for this impeachment, and the next Democratic president can be impeached over a phone call Republicans don't like. Yeah, that's why I was, and this is actually whenever I do the Clinton documentary, which will not be anytime soon because he's on the latter echelon of people I want to discuss. I was going to point it out that before Clinton, impeachment kind of was not really a thing that was used that often. Like Nixon got it because of the Watergate, that big scandal. But you don't really get someone trying to do that until you get to Reagan, when I believe it was Henry Gonzalez. He wrote some articles. Point is, this is like ever since Clinton had it happen to him over the stupid woman controversy with Lewinsky, they just keep bringing it back out. So that was and I said before that one of the reasons I like the older Bushes, I like that era. I love the era of having civil disagreements over these issues and people who seem to actually want to work together. And that stops after Clinton takes over, and the Democrats lost the House for the first time in over 40 years. Good old Republican Revolution. I personally don't know why Dems are rushing. This 4 years went by fast. Another 4 years and Trump will be done forever. Well, that was kind of the thing. I was preferring that if they even bothered with this, it would be after the election, whether he won or not, because I think the voters should have a say on if they want to retain this person. Oh, you won't be able to do that, Ruben. It'll be Pence time. I should do like a little movie, like a little cartoon movie. President Pence, everybody's getting electroshock therapy, and we're like bombing 20 countries. Like it is neocon on steroids, man. Reclining chair. Not here. Ivanka Jared. Remember Kamala Manuchin? That's what it reminded me of. Pence would be better. Whatever. That's like saying I'm going to replace garbage with manure. I'm ignorant for the most part when it comes to politics, but I haven't seen anything Trump has done that will destroy our world or economy and will do so in the next 4 years. I mean, objectively, like Sky, my main thing is the wars, because he can't, like, all these Republicans, right, except for a couple like Rand Paul, Walter Jones, Ron Paul, they always do this thing. They go, the president doesn't know what he's doing on these conflicts. He's out of his mind. He's endangering our troops. Blah blah blah. Right. So then when they get in office, you think, okay, they might try to end some of these. Nothing. Like just flat continuation. Like Cruz literally spent his entire first half of his term in the Senate critiquing the foreign policy of a president that he now supports. Like Trump's positions on international issues are identical to Obama's, with the exception of expanding some drone strikes. And, saying in December of last year and a couple of months ago, we're pulling out of Syria, and, deciding not to actually do it. It's some like making hospitals show their price on things. Well, Winter, I'm not attempting to make every single thing seem horrible, but like I said, it's not enough for me to go, oh yes, you've been redeemed. Like I said before, if I did a 1 out of 10, I'd give Trump maybe a 2, Obama a 3, Clinton a 2, and then Bush a 1. And then the older Bush like a 6 or a 7. Who will take Trump's place on Twitter? Well, if he's not in jail, he can still tweet. He'll keep on writing stuff. They just won't cover it as much. Trump is not and this is coming from a black guy, with his policy on foreign, and the fact he puts his foot in his mouth makes him very unlikable. It's not even just the wars. Like if we go to domestic stuff, the USMCA is literally NAFTA, just with a different name. I actually have an upload where I was going to talk about how disappointed I was in Sherrod Brown, because that was my top trade guy. Like I like Sanders and all, but he doesn't discuss trade ever. So this was my main senator to go to for that issue. And he's like, oh, yes, I've helped to negotiate this trade deal. This is so great. It's like, what are you talking about? That trade deal sucked. It sucked 20 years ago, and it sucks now. Okay, well, Mr. Urban World, I'm attempting to speak in a way that is allows people to understand what I'm talking about. So maybe if you listen to me, you just might learn something. Yeah, I've had to explain to people before. Fair trade is when you have regulations to protect workers' rights, and free trade is when it's unregulated. These different heads of states and people of power in these various countries get to decide how this goes. And the whole point of the trade deals is so they can take American positions, ship them in NAFTA's case to Mexico or Canada, and then pay people less than what they would pay them over here due to our labor laws, our minimum wage rather. Excuse me. After watching recordings of your I'm so flattered. I was very shocked to see you. Social media inflates issues, Sky. That's the issue. Plus, liberal America has a very nostalgic view of Obama, but even Justin has talked about the issues of Obama. Yeah, I wanted to do next year. I plan on doing a hours-long documentary on his entire career, and I was going to have every single major issue that I either liked or disliked explained in full, and talk about why, like the Cuba relations being restored, right? That's a big major thing that he did that I liked, along with the Iran deal. But outside of that, pretty much garbage. Since you're there, you may get bored, so I came to give you cable. What? I don't identify or like any party. I think everyone involved in politics are hypocrites. Well, excuse me, Sky. I didn't mean to be a hypocrite and untrustworthy. I might not even speak for the remainder of this term. I just look at you. Definitely be here for you talking about. No, Envoy, it would be a documentary. So I'd have the clips of the various things that he said that I don't like or that he did that I don't like. And I would explain in full detail why they were bad. We would go over Frank Dodd, his little half measure. And like, I always have to explain to people, because they've been giving Clinton hell. They go, oh my God, he's the one that put in the blacks in jail and the war on. I was like, no, that was already around before him. He just continued it. The main thing that he did that is horrible, in my opinion, as far as like original sin, because he just inherited the war on drugs and NAFTA and kept them going, kind of like how Trump's kept all of Obama's wars going. His main thing is Gramm-Leach-Bliley, repealing Glass-Steagall. Like, that's his original sin. That's literally the main reason I will never call Clinton decent or good or anything. It's like, I've even had to explain to people who rank him higher than the older Bush, he didn't have banking deregulation like that, or any, from as far as I'm aware. So, it's also about what people didn't do that gets them to have a certain ranking or not in my my scorebook. Like, I've actually looked at the presidential rankings of the presidents. I'm just like, how the hell did this Kennedy get higher than, like, what in the world? Top 10. Dems don't talk about Obama's immigration policy, which is very similar to Trump. Yeah, the most deportations of any. Did you see the video I did where I called him the deporter in chief? I have not been for 3 years, Rudolph. But yeah, I had mentioned that he deported the most people of any U.S. president, and they're now that same party that sat there with complete silence is going around talking about Trump is trying to get rid of people. He's so heartless. I can't believe give me a break. Your mouth was closed for 8 years. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose. And he's trying to figure out if I'm still a virgin in between the toes. That's what he came in here to ask. Oh my God. I haven't seen your channel in like a year. Well, whose fault is that? It certainly isn't for me disappearing or not putting up content, but that's what I said. It's a just world fallacy. Someone will actually go and say, he left because you didn't entertain him enough. No, he left because he didn't want to watch. So does anyone in here need free cable? If you are a cable cutter, let me know. I'll take care of you right now. Yeah, I'm good. We don't need that. Got my Wi-Fi set up. Whew. Got a useless impeachment. We've got overrated presidents. We have underrated senators and presidents and congressmen. Like, I want to do a whole video contrasting Roe with AOC, because I hate how he gets no coverage and she gets so much. Can you hook up people who are abroad? Love to have what? Oh, I've never seen that person before. We have people interested, but I'll only post site with your permission. I think doesn't YouTube have a thing where they stop people from being able to post off-site links? So, like, if you post it, I'm not going to stop you, but if it doesn't go through, that's not me going, "Oh my God, you're distracted from my stream, man." Interesting to compare Trump and Obama's policies, see how similar and different they are. Well, I said the only policy that Trump changed drastically was the environment. Like, I remember the Paris agreement was considered kind of like a half measure, but it was still something. Trump's whole thing is to just be a climate change denier, just like the rest of Republicans. Yeah, that's what people do. They disappear. Again, regardless of how much content you put up, regardless of how active you are, regardless of really anything in your control. I'm glad you guys are seeing this. 2 examples of that. Oh, Robin, yeah. Well, I guess Dick Grayson, or technically Jason Todd, or maybe Tim Drake, or Stephanie Brown, or Damian Wayne. One of those. I don't know. Yeah, my sidekick, I was in Detective Comics. I had a rogues gallery, and it was all interesting. I still chuckle seeing how both parties handled her new proposal to the environmental policy. Well, that whole vote on it in the Senate earlier this year was stupid. Like, they knew it wasn't going to pass. And McConnell was like, haha, the Democrats won't vote for this Green New Deal. It's like, of course they won't. I'm not sure how accurate this is, but many say families are being separated under Obama too, and start under him. Trump was just enforcing it. I've seen conflicting claims. Like, I've heard that they prioritize keeping them together. But as far as like, oh, we're taking this one relative, and yeah, that occurred before. They did it at night, and the media wouldn't cover it. Obama had the most deportations of any U.S. president ever. Him and the younger Bush stood at 2 million, and Clinton had over 800,000. I think it was like 400,000 each year. It was getting rid of people. Women being able to run the world better. I mean, like, it's just more sexist crap. But like I said, if I said men were better at running things, I would get tarred and feathered. I can name a bunch of different chicks in politics I like, but the idea that they're gonna, like, because they have a vagina, somehow be better than a man based off of their gender is really incredulous. He's just saying that because he wants to get the feminists to like him. I mean, and it kind of sucks because I can't think of any female, like, international heads of state that I really like. Thatcher was horrible. May was bad. Merkel is kind of they're not. It's not because they're females. They're right wing and they're neoliberal, and they're not my kind of heads of state. Let's put it that way. Just like how when we had the thing where the broads kept changing their mind, I was like, these aren't my kind of women. I think Obama's kicking off his reelection. That statement is for PC support. No, he's trying to stay relevant and appear to he can't come out against Sanders yet, so he's trying to do something else to be in the headlines. Maybe if you stop giving $400,000 speeches to Wall Street, you might be able to get our attention. And then remember, his presidential library is going to, like, destroy some homes in Chicago. There's a whole bunch of stuff with him, even after office, that I wish I could just cover all together. Let's see. Quote of them: "Go to at the morning for an interview. That's responsible leader does this. Gender and race doesn't matter if they're corrupt." Yeah, Marco, I agree wholeheartedly. Also, Sky, a lot of folks have this belief that America's better off white, but the issue is it never truly was that way to begin with. Yeah, it's a nation of immigrants. That's why Kennedy had the book with that title. Speaking of Kennedy, I got to post this Seymour Hersh video where they were talking about how he looked, and they were like, man, they were butthurt with him. One of the best journalists ever, and you want to cry because he criticizes your beloved martyred president that you only like because he got murdered and had okay positions. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. It was pretty funny to watch them turn to crybabies. Like some of the people, the stuff they wrote is the kind of stuff I would write if someone wrote a book about, I don't know, my dad or something. The story of Dissinger Sr., a horrible person. Like, oh my God, I can't believe they wrote this. A bit fake and disingenuous. On one hand, he tries to act serious on political. On the other hand, he does these super political statements, pick a side. Yeah, because ex-presidents are generally not supposed, or at least a kind of code among them is they don't want to critique the person before them. But, he didn't care. Got to defeat Trump no matter what. Hardcore right likes to omit that fact. That's why I said that it's like all this stuff about reparations. They're just doing that so they can give some descendants a little check and be like, all right, that's enough. We just gave you a free UBI for a month, or whatever the total would be. Yeah, a month is 1,000. So yeah, that's enough. Any means necessary. Yeah, even if it includes doing scummy stuff. Like I've seen them sit there whining about his tweets. I'm not even a fan of his, and I think that's dumb because we're supposed to be upset by the policies and the positions, not nonsensical things like what he wrote on Twitter. Speaking of which, we're getting close to the anniversary of his favorite tweet of mine. I'm in the White House all alone. Remember that one? Waiting for the Democrats to come up with the bill. It was during the shutdown last year. Because he put, like, after he writes, I'm in the White House all alone, he says, poor me. like that's the part where we're just supposed to go, oh, feel so much sympathy for him. Like, did you feel sympathy when you were bombing babies in the Middle East for Saudi Arabia? God, people are such hypocrites, man. They're hypocrites. But yeah, I'll try to see if we can do any of these documentaries this week. Again, I've been very, like, it's just so much stuff happening around me that I can't just sit down and record things. But again, I'll try to do it. I'm not going to make any promises, but there will definitely be an uptake in the production of some of this stuff I don't like. But when he said there's a dangerous time for you, man, what do you think of that? I don't know what he's talking about. But I mean, I already said that men in general, no one cares about them in comparison with chicks. That's why they always send the dudes out to war and the broads get to sit home and open their legs and do nothing, survive at all costs. When you truly both study both sides reasonably, you soon find that in actuality, a lot of both would probably be libertarian or moderate to my finding. Dissinger Senior, LOL, or LOL. You got my point, Envoy. That Hersh just wrote a book critiquing an American president. They do it all the time to Johnson, to Nixon, to we can go down the list to Ford, to Carter, to Reagan, to Bush, to Clinton, to Bush, to Obama, to Trump, and they do one on Kennedy. Oh my God. They were, the stuff they wrote to him is the kind of stuff I would write to someone if they wrote a disparaging book about my parent, which never will happen, but you get the idea. Yeah, no one That's why I said that if I had a big set of titties, we would have a whole bunch of people in here. I mean, I said before, the guys have to have all kind of talents and little tricks and trades they can do. All the chicks have to do is just sit there and look cute, and they can get free stuff. And I really have to. Oh, of course, Rudolph. It's like every other video I get demonetized. I don't care. I get that. What? Oh man, I won't. How will I live without that half a penny? Doesn't matter. Mm. That's why I said people should sign up for Patreon. But again, I didn't know this King earlier, so I'm not gonna hold him to that same standard. It was just I was so shocked by it, I couldn't believe it. My heart stopped. King had me getting ready to blush. You can be a controversial introduction, but if you have some sort of sex sound, they become the focus. I mean, speaking of Jackson, I was actually going to do documentaries on Quincy Adams and Van Buren because they get next to not. I want to do a whole video, the dirty secret of historians, where they just like don't even bother with covering most of these politicians of the like. Forget the presidents. We can go on all the senators and congressmen that don't have any book written about them. It's horrible. Can still hear me? Well, I appreciate that you can still hear me. I feel so accomplished that you can hear me. It's the highlight of my day that I'm audible to you. Attention was given to her. Yeah, that's what happens, Sky. I mean, like this. Why do you think more like what? Okay, so I don't talk to Wikipedia on here much because I'm not even I don't bother with them anymore. Moore's page, Roy Moore, the failed candidate, is bigger than like every single senator that's currently in office, other than I think Sanders, Harris, Kane, and then McConnell. Like everybody, and I kept trying to explain to this guy, it's like this person was applying for the job. He didn't get it, and yet his page is larger than the people who do have it. Like that was crazy to me. But it's because he had a sex scandal, and it blew up in its length. Same thing with Chris Kobach. Yeah, well, Envoy, they did it, and as a result, I only log in like once a month or once every couple of weeks. They're opposed to anti-war people on there. So, and again, it happened the same day as that first Democratic debate. What a coincidence, huh? It might have been like it was the night. It was the morning after, I think, but it was right after. It's like, damn, because I had used hours before, and all of a sudden, so they got me off of that site. Good job. That'd be funny if I became like a senator or a congressman. Like, yeah, you guys thought I was gone, huh? And they can't get rid of me. And I'm just like doing the same thing. Like, I'm back and now I'm in power. Have a threesome with sports. Everyone stays with their business, but if a man does it, he needs to be fired and go to jail. LOL. Yeah, double standard. All right, I think we've had our entertainment. Actually, a little bit longer than I usually do. I want to thank those who showed up, who decided to give me a viewing. I'm so appreciative. I almost want to just reach out and hug everyone and all that usual mushy stuff. I'm going to try to see if I can wrap up the Corbin documentary tonight. Not tonight, this week, and I'll give updates as to what happens with it. I've got uploads throughout the week, streaming tomorrow, on Monday, the usual. So thanks for showing up, appearing, and in two people's cases, reappearing. Have a good night. And, I can't wait to sit down and be comfortable, Envoy. I've been standing for almost an hour and a half. Well, Rudolph, if you love it so much, you can marry it by coming back again more than once a year. One can only hope. Let me click my heels to make that occur. See you later, Ruben and Envoy and all the rest of and Sky and all the rest of the characters.